To show the effect and the power of branding, you just have to look at the meat and dairy industry. They've done a phenomenal job over the past decades, at convincing people that their products are not only good for you, but essential for you. And they brainwashed everybody to believe that wholeheartedly. But we all know that that is simply not the case, and that product line that they have produced is the thing that's destroying the planet. And it's messing up everything from human health, the healthcare systems, the planet, the environment, and the list goes on. And that's all done through branding and marketing. So what we choose to do at Jeoto is to flip that around. And what we do is use those skills, that branding, the graphic design, to change people's perspectives about the food that they eat, and work with companies that are doing good, the companies that are creating products that are plant-based, vegan, they're eco-intelligent products, sustainable products, those type of things. And we're using this platform that we have at our disposal to make the consumers aware of the beauty, the benefits, the positive reactions that a plant-based diet has, and going vegan. So branding got us into this problem, branding can get us out of it. And that's the goal that we're here to achieve. As far as the company, so I'm partner and creative director at a design studio here in Burlington, Ontario, called Jeoto Design. And we specialize in branding. We use a unique combination of strategic branding and graphic design to help our clients stand out on store shelves primarily, because we do a lot of retail, and to gain that following by the look and the feel, the brand identity that we've established for their company, so that they're very recognizable by consumers. We've been doing this for over 20 years, and this all started a long time ago, simply because I've been vegan for 25 years. And I've seen so many things change, come and go within this lifestyle. And the thing that's always resonated with me were the people who were doing good, trying their best to get a brand new product out to people that helps them physically, mentally, helps the planet, all those different wonderful things that we're all striving to do. But it's a very difficult challenge to meet all those needs and to touch all those points. So by watching these companies come and go over the years prior to the pandemic, I've noticed that their lifespan for a lot of these really great products were short-lived. So basically, by being a person who's watched these products, the vegan products, enter the market and shortly leave, I felt it was essential for me to help these companies not only stay longer, but to gain traction, to gain awareness, and to gain that following of consumers so that they can grow. Most of these companies tended to be a one product that they would put on shelf, and it was kind of a trial. And what would happen is we want to help them stay there to the point where they can move on to the next product and the next product. And some of the most successful companies out there already have that traction. Gardein would be a great example. It's a company that started out with one or two products. I watched them at the food shows when they would have a booth, and they would be there doing samples and demos and everything. And they were getting a little bit of traction from the buyers at the shows. It's their product, their branding, and their messaging that resonated so well with consumers that it got them onto more shelves and got them well recognized to the point where they were able to continue evolving their brand, continuously creating new product. And that is the magic right there. Once you've got those people really looking forward to what's the next thing, but they're already following the brand. That's what we're here to do. That's what we'd love to do. And these type of products tend to pop up more and more nowadays, simply because the awareness of what's going on in the food industry, in particular for the plant-based and the new alternatives that are out there, people are far more willing to experiment and to try these products. So that's the other part of what we're trying to do, to gain that awareness and the excitement.
Definitely. I experienced that myself because I've been part of two vegan startups. One as a small team, and now I'm just starting mine, which we talked about. But for the first one, we had great products. The labels are great. But when we put up on the website, we got an iPhone in the office. We tried to set up like lights that we use on like the side of like our bed stands and stuff. And the moment we switched from that to hiring a professional photographer and professional graphic designer, that's when the kind of the front imaging really stood out and more media outlets picked us up and the business started taking off. So I could tell from my personal experience that having a great vegan product is not good enough to sell, but having I guess there's the actual value and the perceived value. So we just started speaking probably about a month ago. And I think at that time on the homepage of my website, it was a stock photo of a table with a bunch of vegetables around it. Then you gave me the advice, actually show what the product is. And then it looks so much more appealing and I'm more confident getting it out there. So I think that's the real benefit of what you're talking about with displaying what a great product is so people could resonate with it. So I know a lot of business owners in the same instance. And I guess my advice as a business owner is to get professional photography, get professional design, and really have it stand out with the brand.
Yeah, and that's key because image is everything. The saying, a picture says 1,000 words, is very true. If your messaging isn't as concise or to the point that you're hoping within the descriptions or what you're trying to say on packaging, on your website, in your social media, you can speak volumes with the beautiful packaging, showing application of how the product works, the functionality, the benefits of it, just by simple visuals, but very well done visuals.
Definitely. So what other mistakes do you see that most business owners make when in this line of work? So whether it comes to graphic design, brand imaging, packaging, what are the common mistakes that people probably make in the early stages and that you help them resolve?
Right. So the one major mistake I think people make, particularly with startups, is they're so focused on developing a product that they're hoping everybody's going to fall in love with and buy, that they don't really think so much about branding. Some of them just simply don't know what branding's all about. And I could talk about that in a minute, but it's the overall look and feel, the image that you want the people to perceive. They forget about it. They don't invest into it. And by doing that, they'll do what they can to get things put together, their logo, their packaging, their website. And what tends to happen is they launch, they start moving forward, things are working out, but a lot of the time they're going to hit a plateau just simply because they don't have that reach. They're not having that impact that they need to break through the clutter. And there's a lot of clutter out there. The competition is fierce in every category. So if you don't focus on that, if you kind of let that slide, you'll reach that plateau. You're going to lose some sales, I would think. And then you will have to reinvest. You're going to have to think this through after the fact. And my philosophy is do it right the first time. And if that means you're going to have to wait a little while to get your product to market, I like having everything done as close to perfect as possible There's going to be changes as they go. That's just the nature of business. You're going to find things that work that don't. But that is my thought. It's the number one mistake is that they don't invest the time and money to brand themselves correctly at the beginning.
Absolutely. I think there's a few things that kind of stuck in my mind with what you said, where there's the popping out from the marketplace, where I remember when the previous startup where most vegan companies, they choose like the green colors for representing veganism, whereas the advice of the people we worked with, they said, choose these colors like an orange, a light blue, and it like pops out from the marketplace and really stands out on the shelves. And then I had a friend of mine who many years ago, he went on Shark Tank and he invented the paintbrush cover, where I think his original packaging was blue. But then when he worked with Lori from Shark Tank, she said, switch it to red so it stands out on the shelves. And that's one of the things that popped out from what you said. So having the professional branding from the beginning, and I made the mistake kind of even further, because with one of my products, the artichoke leaf extract, and you might have seen that on my website, where originally it was a hangover cure, but then I invested, I think on Fiverr, I paid $100 for a professional looking, it's just artichoke leaf extract, a picture of the artichoke in the back, and it's impressive how just a little bit could go a long way versus trying to design it myself from the beginning. So it's really good to invest in it.
Yeah. Like when you hire a company like Jeoto Design, you're hiring people who understand the principles behind every single aspect of what goes into the brand. For example, when we design a logo, we will spend up to 3 weeks just getting the preliminaries done. There's so much research that goes into it because, as we talked about, you want your product to pop off shelf. You want it to be recognizable, you want it to be memorable, and you want it to have that staying power on shelf so that it's not going to be outdated given like within a year. You want something that your investment is going to be substantial at times if you're going to be doing a full brand and you want to do it right. So we invest a ton of time in the research. We understand their competitors. We're always trying to understand what's happening in the industry, what are trends, and those are things that somebody who's not particularly as involved in that part of the process of branding, they will just neglect that and just create something, oh, that looks nice. But at the same time, looks nice might not be the correct way to go. We produce things that, of course, are going to look amazing, but there's a meaning behind absolutely everything from the font choices to the color. And color theory is a great example. That's something that takes a lot of time and effort to understand. As you just said, why red as opposed to blue for your friend's paintbrush? There's a very good reason for it. When you see what's happening on store shelf and the competitors, how are you going to disrupt that? How are you going to be different? So that's what we take into account. If we were to talk branding, what is it really? It's a term. Some people have no idea what that even means. The term marketing, yes, people have understood that. Marketing is something that happens after the branding, in my perspective. So with branding, it's developing that overall look, feel, and style, the identity that represents your business from top to bottom. We're talking everything that goes into branding starts from things like the logo, to the website, to the packaging, to the uniforms your employees are wearing, the way you respond to posts on Twitter, on LinkedIn, to the way the receptionist answers the phone. All of that goes into your branding, the way your customer service works. Every bit of those things have to be accounted for. And we keep all that in mind from the beginning of our interview with our clients. We do an information interview, basically trying to understand every aspect and angle of the client. What do you like? What do you don't? Who are your markets that you're trying to focus on? All those different things. We're always trying to understand not only the customer, but their customer. And some people will focus and gravitate just on one thing, thinking that the logo is the be all and end all. Once I have my logo, everybody's going to love my product. But that's only a small factor, a very small factor, actually. It's everything else that goes into it that is going to generate that culture, generate that following, and to have the consumers not only loving your product, but seeking it out and asking for it if it's not in a store. So that's another key element there.
That's great. Yeah, I remember searching for the different types of packaging, even for should I have the white stand-up pouches versus more organic feel, and all that goes in. I remember reading somewhere that like someone equated branding to like your reputation as like
Mhm.
think like in high school, like everybody has a reputation. There's the
Yeah.
jocks, there's the music, there's all this, and like really personifying like that really helps understand in my mind. What type of
Mhm.
questions should brands ask themselves to gain clarity and what they're looking to achieve before they start working with you or helping solidify their image? So what type of questions should they ask themselves to prepare working with you?
Right. So, well, one thing we kind of help them because you never know what kind of questions are the right questions. There is no right or wrong questions. There's just questions, and you want to try to get as much consolidated information as possible up front. So there's not a lot of back and forth. But some of the questions, if you were to ask internally before you were ever to meet with us, would be, who are we as a brand? So it's one thing, yeah, we've got product A and it's a great product. We believe in it. It's something we know that consumers are going to love. But how are we going to, how do we want to be perceived by consumers? So what is our brand? And that's a question that might be a loaded question because it's hard for somebody to really understand what does that even mean. And as I touched on earlier, but it's basically trying to understand, how do we want people to see us? Do they want to see us as revolutionary, a one of a kind, never done before? We're going to change the world. We're going to change the planet. Or is it, we have a really reliable product we know is great. You're going to love it too. Just trying to understand how they want people to see them. A second question would be, what makes us different? You really have to have a heart to heart and kind of say, yeah, there's widget A and there's 1,000 other widgets out there, but ours is fill in the blank. Why is ours different? What makes us stand out from our competitors? So really trying to analyze that before you really move too much further with getting anything else done, because those are things you can leverage. Those are things you can run with because they are going to really be the defining key that sets you apart from your competitors. The other question you would ask yourself, what do you have to offer people? And what would that be outside of the product itself? Um, Outstanding customer service. Your goal is going to be to do everything in your power to make your customers as happy as possible. Um, that's what I'm referring to when I say, what else do you have to offer? So there's a lot more to having a business than and branding a business than just glorifying the key product. There's a whole lot that goes behind that, beside it, and after. So that's important to know. Another question would be, why should people believe in you? Why should people follow you? Why should people buy from you? And it goes a lot to do with, again, the product, but the way your product is packaged, developed. Um, you're so responsible. You're always looking for innovative ideas on packaging, so you're environmentally friendly. For every there's like Tom's shoes, for example. For every product that they sell, they donate a pair of shoes to somebody else who's in need. So those are those type of things that get a culture, a following, a community behind your business because of the things you're doing. And that's why people believe in them and want to buy from them. Another question is really understanding your market. who are you really trying to target? Um, you can't please everybody. You can't just expect to touch base with clients that are consumers that are young, old, men, women. Your product tends to resonate well with a particular target market. So it's important for you to really understand that target market. Um, Fine tune your messaging, fine tune your branding, fine tune everything that you're doing so that you resonate so well with that market that they can do nothing but recognize you, see you, and follow you and be a part of that whole buying process. And the other thing is really understanding your competitors. As I mentioned, there's going to be another company that's doing widgets just like you, but it's really understanding what are they doing, how are they doing it, what is their following like, how successful are they, how long have they been in the market, all that type of stuff is important to really understand, so you know what you're up against and what your competition is like now, what they're anticipating to be like in the future, and how you're going to compete with them. So those would be 6 of the most important things I think you should have really, really figured out prior to meeting with any type of design studio that is ready to work with you. Because the more you know, the more you can bring to the table, the more concise your information is going to be. You can get that messaging so clear that you're going to be quicker, you're going to get into the market sooner, and it just makes everybody's part in the whole process smoother and easier to go with.
That's great advice. And 3 things that stood out for me there is like when you mentioned something to have your brand stand out outside of the product itself. When I think of Zappos, the shoe company, I always think about their customer service. Like they published a book on their culture of customer service. And one thing went viral where a customer service agent sent, I think, a woman like a bouquet of flowers because she didn't have the best experience. And then the customer service made up for it. And then just having things like that be part of your brand is absolutely amazing. And then, of course, the whole saying, if you try to sell to everybody, you'll wind up selling to nobody. So being specific is real good. And then the other thing I think a lot of, I guess, first-time entrepreneurs face is when coming up with their business model, they kind of scared to look at the competition. Where it's like, okay, if it's not like, if somebody's already doing something similar, I want to shy away from it. But with the previous company that I helped build, we looked at all our competition, and it wasn't until we made a list of all their strengths before we found out what our unique selling point was. And that's what really got us out to the market. So really great advice there.
Yeah.
Once the imaging and the brand is developed, like the work you talked about, how do people bridge the gap to sort of getting the reach and getting seen by millions of people? Maybe more to the advertising side, like how do you bridge the gap there?
Right. This day and age, we all know it's social media. Social media is king, because what's going to happen there is, a ton of free marketing half the time. You've got the opportunity to post on social media like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of these different outlets. And the vast majority of it tends to be free. Of course, you've got your paid advertising. So you're going to fine tune and hone into, again, what I talked about earlier, that specific market that is exactly what you're looking for. And you're going to have more eyeballs on the look that you're trying to achieve and your product in general. So having a really well planned out social media plan is vital, because number one, it's a full-time job right there on itself, because you have to keep up with what you're doing, the image, the following. You want to keep your fans happy. You want to keep your consumers happy. You want to make sure that you're always enriching them with new content, giving them something that's of value at all times. So generating that information is a challenge at times, because there's so much that's happening, and you want to really use your branding and everything that you have established. You want to carry that through on everything that you do so that your messaging, your the look and feel, the tonality, everything about your business is on point. And everything that you say resonates well with the viewer. So getting the most bang for your buck would be through social media. There's conventional advertising. So you've got print advertising. There are still, whether it's physical print or if it's the magazine or whatever it has, whatever it is, is now digital, you're still touching a huge audience, whether it's, like, as I mentioned, just standard print in a small local magazine, or that same magazine might have millions of followers or viewers, and you're going to be able to market and advertise there. So that's one of the best ways to do things. What I like to suggest too, with startups in particular, is getting the buzz started before you've even really established what you're doing. This might sound counterintuitive, it might sound a little bit reverse, but you're not letting you're not letting the information that's vital to the big reveal out. You're just basically teasing people, letting people know that, hey, something big, something exciting, something new is happening. It's going to be happening soon. Keep your eyes open. So I really like developing that buzz so that people are talking about it, looking forward to it. There's anticipation happening. This also gives you a little bit of a test opportunity to show some of the elements that you're working on in regards to the product itself, the benefits of that product, the branding. And it's a little bit like a focus group, because if you're not getting any kind of feedback in a positive way, this gives you that little bit of an opportunity to tweak things, change things, update things, and see what's resonating better with people. So that's one of my definite go-tos for sure.
It's all great advice. Where kind of, I think, the book Product Launch Formula, where it's like the thing is, get the marketing out there, get the teasing out there before you completely build the product. This way the customers help shape it. So really great advice.
Mm-hmm.
Then do you have any, kind of building on that, do you have any case studies or like real world examples maybe of that type of thing that you've seen work, or another type of branding case study?
Yeah, for sure. So for our own clientele, one of our clients that we did something similar with was Local Veg. You'll see it on our website, and very fantastic company. Basically, their principle was to have local produce, leafy greens, available to consumers 24/7, all year round. And the idea was to keep it affordable, because here in Canada, for example, the growing season is relatively short-lived, so the products aren't able to be on store shelves locally for the whole year. So they built their business around everything being sustainable, everything being local, and always being fresh, and still being affordable. They didn't fluctuate the price based on season. They did so well that they could not keep the shelves stocked. They would send shipment after shipment to hundreds and hundreds of stores, not that far. Like they're primarily within Ontario, and the consumers snatched it up the minute they were on shelf. There were people waiting for these products day after day when the stocks were depleted. And the reason this worked out so well, yes, it's fantastic. It was a fantastic product, but it was the overall branding. It stood out so well on shelf. It resonated with people. I keep saying resonated because it really fine tunes how people perceive your brand, and they really loved it. And it was fresh, inviting, exciting, and new. And the thing that really made people love it even more is, yes, they saw it in the summer. Yes, they saw it in the spring, but they saw it in the middle of winter. They saw it in January when it's freezing cold outside. And it was exciting because it was always the product that was available to them whenever they needed it. And that is what I'm talking about with developing this image that stays with people, and they follow you. They look forward to always being able to connect with you, purchase from you, um, correspond with you in some way. So that's a real life case study that I love talking about because it's so phenomenal and it grew so quickly. Um, Very recognizable branding that's identified throughout the world now is Oatly. Oatly has done an unbelievable job in regards to their branding, from their packaging to their messaging, and every element of their marketing is on point. It's perfect. It's funny, it's witty, it's exciting, it's fresh, it's sarcastic at times, and they're dominating, and it's amazing to see because people who are hardcore dairy enthusiasts are converting over to Oatly. And you can't get any better than that because it's super exciting to see people who say, I will never change. Give them a month, they've changed, all for the better.
And that just reiterates the point, get the branding up front, where
Yeah,
once you get it out there, that makes a huge difference.
yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
Why is Jeoto Design focusing so much on the plant-based uh, category? Well, we go a little beyond that. It started off, we want to work with vegans. Now we realize that is such a, it's too generalized because now everybody's associating with plant-based. You have the vegan, and then you have the debates that go on between these different things. So we focus on working with plant-based, vegan, but eco-intelligent companies as well. The people who are doing things that are sustainable, the people who are finding new innovative ways to do things better for the people, for the planet, and the environment, all of those different things. So we do that. That's our focus, and that's what we're hoping to continue to grow more and more. Because the thing for me is the meat and the dairy industry have done a fantastic job at branding and marketing. They have done such an outstanding job. They have convinced so many people that their product is not only good for you, but it's essential. And this is global. This is not just a small niche market that has done a really good job at convincing a small demographic. They've touched the lives of absolutely every person on the planet. And it's the marketing and branding that they've done that has unfortunately caused us to be in the situation we're in now. And there's no dispute that, environmental issues, pandemics, animal cruelty and suffering that's nonstop, that people are aware of through every media outlet. It's the branding and marketing that's done that. So what we've chosen to do is take branding and marketing to flip it and do only good with it to get us out of this problem. So I can elaborate a little bit more on that. And that is by us helping the companies that are doing good out there, the people who are trying to influence the average person, the plant-based diet is the way to go. By helping them succeed, we're getting the opportunity to help do good as well. It's a partnership that grows from all these different outlets, from plant-based milk to a plant-based products of any kind, from fashion to services of every different kind. We get to help these companies succeed, grow, change the world in positive ways. And that's something I've been wanting to do 25 years ago. So one thing that's interesting, the different approach that the alternative meat and dairy products have been doing with regards to branding, I'm noticing that the conventional advertising methods are not being used as readily as they were when advertising the meat and dairy industry. Campaigns like Got Milk, Where's the Beef, Only Men, like it's manly to have a burger, those type of campaigns and accounts, they're not doing as much of that in regards to the advertising that's going on now. They're touching on the lifestyle change, the joy and the physical alterations that these plant-based products have. They're humorous, they're fun, they're engaging, they're exciting. They're not slogan oriented. They're not in your face kind of follow what I say because this is the way it is. They tend to look at life through a different lens. Beyond Meat has a whole slew of fantastic advertising that's being done online through social media outlets, celebrities, so that they already have covered a huge audience by tapping into these influencers. And they're bringing those people into the fold at the same time. So the way, the approach, the method that they're using right now is a big difference, makes a big difference, because people, you're not telling people what to do, you're speaking with people. You're sharing thoughts and feelings, you're sharing your ideas, and you're opening up dialogue is what you're doing with the plant-based alternatives. And I think people identify with that a whole lot more, that being brain, and they see through typical advertising. They see the lies up front, and what we're doing right now in the plant-based industry, telling the truth, saying what it is, what it's really there for, like what it's all about. And that makes, I think, a big difference for everybody. Well, I would like to say that this is an exciting time, especially for anybody who's in the plant-based, vegan, eco-friendly category. The growth is huge. And the surprise that what something was thought to be a fad is by far no longer even close to being classified as a fad anymore. Because you can't say that eating healthy, being healthy, changing the planet, healing the planet, doing all good things is a fad. It can't be ever classified as a fad ever again. And this is the time for growth. This is the time for change. And it's happening in a big, big way. And no matter who you are or what you're doing, whether you have a product, you're thinking of a product or a service that you want to get out there to reach people, to change people's lives in a positive way, even if it's not you 100% directly doing it, but you have an affiliate, or you have an organization that you know of, or somebody that you really, really like and you want to support them, now is definitely the time, because this will become the absolute norm, that animal products were going to be a thing of the past. It used to be a fantasy that people had, especially myself, where we would read the words of some philosopher saying, at one point, eating meat, people would question, like, they used to eat meat then? And it seems that those words will actually become true, because I have a feeling that whether it's cultured meat, Beyond Meat, Impossible Burgers, those type of things, Oatly, Silk, alternative dairy products, those things are going to be the norm. And the way things were done, the branding that was done by the meat and dairy industry in the past, we're going to erase a good portion of that and replace it with all positive.